the Cheltenham Countdown YouTube channel. This is part 2 in my Horses to Follow series for the upcoming jump season ahead. I've got another 4 horses in this particular episode I'd like to share with you all. Another 4 horses that I'll definitely be keeping in my tracker for the upcoming season. I really do hope you guys did enjoy the first episode regarding my Horses to Follow with the first 4 in there. You can obviously see that episode on YouTube. It's still on my YouTube channel, of course. And I did list the 4 horses on that particular video on my Twitter X page, so you can still see that on my profile. The links are in the description underneath this video. But in amongst these next 4 horses on this episode, guys, I do have what I think is the best handicap jumps horse in training at the moment, I feel. So stay tuned for that one. That's coming towards the end of the video. I've got another potential Supreme Novices Hurdle contender for the Cheltenham Festival next year. I've got a good mare that I think you guys should keep on side during the whole season. And I've got a well-handicapped horse that I think is good off his current mark. He's well treated as well. So stay tuned for all that. It's coming on this episode on part 2 of my Horses to Follow on the Cheltenham Countdown. So my first horse to follow on this episode, guys, is going to be a 5-year-old mare who's owned by JP McManus in the colours of the green and gold, called That's Nice. Trained by Nicky Henderson. She's won 2 of her 3 starts under rules and a 3-mile point-to-point, of course. So her 2 wins have come at Warwick, both the wins there, in both Class 4 mares novice hurdle races, with in between a defeat, of course, at Cheltenham last December. She didn't perform well on that day at Cheltenham, which is a bit disappointing, but she did bounce back at Warwick in her 3rd run, winning very well. Her 2 wins at Warwick were quite impressive, the first of which beating a nice horse from Dan Skelton's yard, and then that horse then went on and won her next contest in a listed novices hurdle race at Sandham. So the form does stack up well from her first novice hurdle win. That's nice. The horse That's Nice then has been rumoured to be going down the mare's novice chasing route this season, so could win many races in that sphere during the campaign, I feel. She's clearly really talented and could, at some point during the season, take on the geldings, perhaps. That's probably what Nicky Henderson will do. I do feel he'll probably keep her with regards to the same sex, the same mares in the first couple of races to see how she fares in that particular contest. Before then, especially going against the geldings, where she will get some weight for mares and age allowances, which could be handy in those particular races. So the first horse to follow in this episode, guys, is going to be a mare called That's Nice in the green and gold colours of JP McManus, trained by Nicky Henderson. Now, my next horse to follow this season is a Willie Mullins bumper horse from last year. I haven't got a Willie Mullins horse in there just yet in my Horses to Follow series, so I'm about to put one in. When you think about bumper horses going novice hurdling, which this horse is probably going to do, especially from the Willie Mullins yard, you usually think of a horse that has won at graded level in his bumper career, has potentially been ridden by Patrick Mullins, or in some cases Paul Townend maybe in his first few races, and a horse that more or less is up at the top of an anti-post market for a novice hurdle race at next year's Cheltenham Festival, whereby it could be a Supreme or a Turner's. This next horse has got none of those profiles, of course. He's got none of the 3 profiles I just said. So the name of this next horse is Kaiser Ball. And this horse has only had the 1 run in its entire career. Now, you might seem to think to yourself, why have I put this horse in my horse to follow list? Well, the reason is, he won a bumper at Ferryhouse in February of this year and won it really well. Ridden by amateur rider Thomas Costello on the day, and although he claimed the £7 he's allowed on the day, Kaiser Ball won the race very well. So, as I just mentioned, regarding fancied bumper horses from Willie Mullins' yard and who tends to ride the apparent first-string horses, there was a well-fancied, somewhat first-string Mullins horse in that race, won by Kaiser Ball, a horse called Arslan on the day, who he went off at 9-4 in his first race under rules, and he was ridden by Patrick Mullins. So you can see where I'm coming from in terms of, there was a fancied runner on that day in Ferryhouse called Arslan, ridden by Patrick Mullins, went off favourite. You think he would be the Willie Mullins first string. The links are obviously there when you tend to think of which horse the stable did fancy or most on the day. Arslan, although he was beaten 10 lengths by Kaiser Ball in the race, finishing 3rd. So you can just sense how I'm describing all this, how good Kaiser Ball was on the day. Now, I do think with all this in mind, it was a very smart performance from the winner, who was quoted afterwards as a potential Cheltenham Festival bumper horse in March. He ended up not going to that race, and now we await to see if he'll be sent out early for a maiden hurdle this upcoming season. I would not be surprised to see him winning a maiden hurdle race first time up for Willie Mullins, as they tend to do, then dipping his toe into graded company sometime near Christmas time. That's plenty what could happen. Then Connections really having a potential Supreme Novices Hurdle contender. He's currently 40-1 top price for that race at the Cheltenham Festival, just to give you guys some sort of sense. But yeah, it's a tough one, because with Kaiser Ball, he's not your apparent Mullins profile in terms of being a top of an anti-post market for a Supreme World Turners. Yet his first race, his only race in his career, was so good, he'd probably be allowed to be at the top of an anti-post market for a Supreme World Turners. So it just goes to show that he's got so many ammunition as Willie Mullins that he could have 3 or 4 horses at the top of an anti-post market for a Cheltenham Festival race, and one lurking down at a 40-1 price. It just shows how strong his squad is for this upcoming season. But yeah, horse number 2 in this episode, guys, trained by Willie Mullins, going novice hurdling, we all think, is Kaiser Ball. Horse number 3 now, and my next horse to follow is in fact a full brother to Kaiser Ball. His name is Juby Ball, trained by Evan Williams, and a horse who I saw win very impressively in person at the beginning of this year. A winner of 3 from 4 starts. His only defeat came at the hands of 6 Mile Bridge from Ben Pauling's yard in a bumper at Sandown in February 2024. Since then, Juby Ball has only had 2 runs, both in Wales, of course, at Ffoslas and at Chepstow. He's won them both. I have actually inquired as well to find out what are the plans for this horse, as I do think he's very smart, but yet to find out exact details. He could go either way in terms of remaining over hurdles or potentially novice chasing, so not entirely sure yet which way Connections are thinking, but nonetheless he'll definitely be one I keep in the tracker. His win at Ffoslas in January under Adam Wedge was good, especially afterwards when I had a quick word with Harry Cobden, who rode the horse in second that day, and claimed that Juby Ball was, the horse that Harry Cobden rode had finished behind a good run in the race. So they do claim, even Harry Cobden, the horse in second, claimed that Juby Ball was quite smart. So again, I'm awaiting to see what they do with Juby Ball. His current hurdling mark, I think, is 129, so he could remain over hurdles to get a good pot in a handicap race, or they may send him out novice chasing. We wait to see. But he's a smart prospect, and one I'm definitely going to be keeping in my tracker, especially after I saw him live in person at Ffoslas. Move on to my final horse to follow in the series this year. The horse who I think now is the best handicapped jumps horse in training at the moment. His name is Jack Hyde of the Fergal O'Brien stable. Now, with a claim like that of being the best handicapped jumps horse in training, you need a horse who's going to be able to improve a lot, see their potential, see sort of what maps they're going to be mapped around during the whole campaign, what kind of races they're going to be targeting, and maybe they've won a lot of races since now. And with this horse, Jack Hyde, he's had 3 wins from his 6 starts, so half his starts have been wins, owned by the Paddy Brennan Syndicate, who have claimed as well, after his latest win earlier on this month, that his next target could be as soon as the Persian War at Chepstow next month. So that's a big claim. We could see him as early as October again, and see if he does stack up with me being claiming him as the best handicap jump horse in training. Still on a massively workable mark of 1, 2, 3. That's the important bit, of course. He must have loads in hand and could seriously win some nice pots in handicap races this season. He tends to run a bit freely, I feel, just a tad bit too freely. So I'd like to see him settle down a bit more in his races. But I could see him turn up in a Great Wood Hurdle at Cheltenham. That's not too far off the agenda, and run well in it. Or maybe a race later on in the season, if he gets his handicap mark a bit more higher up, he could land a nice handicap race in the spring. Like I said, off 123, there's plenty of room for more improvement, and I'm sure he'll land a big race at some point this season. That's the key bit. You can't just give a claim, a statement out that he is the best handicap horse there is about. You're going to have some reasoning behind it and some sort of explanation to back up your judgment. And I think with Jack Hyde, who's won 50% of his starts, He's now with a good trainer who maps out his horses very well in Fergal O'Brien. He does have good handicapped horses in his yard. This is one of them, and I could see him really land a big pot this season. So the final horse to follow in my series, guys, is Jack Hyde, trained by Fergal O'Brien, owned by the Paddy Brennan Syndicate. So that's everything then, guys, from the horses to follow series. The 8 horses I've revealed in my episodes have been revealed. Episode 1 had 4, a mixture of novice hurdlers and a handicapper, and episode 2 had a mixture of a mare, another novice hurdler, and a couple of handicappers I really do like. So just again, do as you always do, like the video, share the video if you wish to your family and friends, and of course subscribe to my channel. It massively helps boosting my little podcast. And follow me on Twitter, of course. My social media network is all on Twitter and Instagram. The links are in the description, I should say, underneath this video. So just click on the link, follow, and you can read on every post I give to you on Twitter regarding the National season. There's not long to go now as well, of course. My next video will be out before the Welsh Racing Festival at Chepstow, the season opener there. The 3-day meeting is going to be so exciting for us Jumps fans. We cannot wait for it. So until then, thanks for watching and see you all soon.